The legacy of Atlantis, the transmission of knowledge to Kemet. The story of Atlantis, a fabled island of advanced civilization lost to catastrophe, has captivated human imagination for millennia. While skeptics dismiss it as mere myth, a compelling case can be made that the survivors of Atlantis, particularly its intellectual elite, sought refuge in the fertile lands of Kemet, ancient Egypt, and profoundly influenced its cultural and intellectual development. The advanced knowledge of the Atlanteans, especially in the realms of medicine and magic, was not lost but instead seeded the remarkable achievements of Kemet, shaping it into one of history's greatest civilizations. The fall of Atlantis and the exodus of the intellectuals. According to ancient accounts, notably Plato's dialogues Timaeus and Critias, Atlantis was a sophisticated society renowned for its technological and intellectual prowess. Its citizens were masters of architecture, engineering, and esoteric knowledge, blending science with spiritual practices often described as magic. However, a cataclysm, likely a combination of natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, or volcanic eruptions, destroyed the island, forcing its survivors to flee. While many perished, the intellectual elite, including priests, healers, and scholars, likely sought to preserve their knowledge by migrating to regions where they could find stability and receptive minds. Kemet, with its fertile Nile Valley and burgeoning society, was an ideal destination. Archaeological and textual evidence suggests that Kemet was already a hub of cultural development by the early 3rd millennium BCE, with a cosmology and social structure conducive to absorbing and adapting external influences. The Atlantean intellectuals, bearing the remnants of their advanced knowledge, would have found in Kemet a society capable of receiving and expanding upon their teachings. The parallels between Atlantean descriptions and Kemet's later achievements in medicine, architecture, and spiritual practices suggest a profound transfer of knowledge. Medicine, the Atlantean legacy in Kemet's healing arts. One of the most striking contributions of the Atlantean refugees was in the field of medicine. Ancient texts, such as the Ebers Papyrus, circa 1550 BCE, reveal that Kemet developed a sophisticated medical tradition, blending empirical observation with spiritual insight. This duality mirrors what we might expect from Atlantean healers, who, according to legend, combined practical techniques with metaphysical understanding. The Ebers Papyrus documents treatments for ailments ranging from infections to surgical procedures, including the use of herbal remedies, precise surgical tools, and even early forms of diagnostics, practices that imply a depth of knowledge unlikely to have emerged in isolation. The Atlanteans, as a maritime and trade-oriented civilization, would have had exposure to diverse plants, minerals, and healing traditions, enabling them to develop a pharmacopoeia that prefigured Kemet's. For example, Kemet's use of willow bark for pain relief, a precursor to aspirin, and honey for its antibacterial properties suggests a sophisticated understanding of natural remedies. These practices could have been introduced by Atlantean healers, who brought with them centuries of accumulated wisdom. Moreover, Kemet's medical texts emphasize the importance of the heart as the center of life and circulation, a concept that aligns with advanced physiological knowledge that may have been preserved from Atlantis. The Atlantean influence is further evident in Kemet's holistic approach to medicine, which integrated physical treatment with spiritual rituals. Priests doubled as physicians, a practice that resonates with descriptions of Atlantean society, where spiritual and scientific knowledge were intertwined. The Temple of Imhotep, later deified as a god of medicine, became a center for healing, where patients received treatments combining surgery, pharmacology, and incantations, a synthesis that echoes the Atlantean blend of science and mysticism. Magic, the esoteric wisdom of Atlantis and Kemet. Equally significant was the Atlantean contribution to Kemet's magical and spiritual traditions. In ancient contexts, magic referred not to superstition but to a profound understanding of natural and cosmic forces, often expressed through rituals, symbols, and metaphysical practices. The Atlanteans, as described by Plato, were adept in such arts, using their knowledge to harmonize with the universe's energies. When they arrived in Kemet, they found a culture already rich in spiritual symbolism, ripe for the integration of their esoteric teachings. Kemet's religious and magical practices, as recorded in texts like the Book of the Dead and inscriptions in temples, reveal a complex system of spells, rituals, and cosmological knowledge. These practices, which guided the soul through the afterlife and invoked divine protection, bear striking similarities to the Atlantean reverence for cosmic order and spiritual power. The Atlanteans likely introduced advanced concepts of sacred geometry, astrology, and ritual magic, which became foundational to Kemet's monumental architecture and religious life. The construction of the pyramids, for instance, reflects a mastery of mathematical precision and astronomical alignment that may trace its origins to Atlantean knowledge. The concept of Hika, Kemet's term for magic as a divine force, also suggests Atlantean influence. Hika was not mere trickery, but a means of manipulating reality through words, symbols, and rituals, a practice that aligns with Atlantean descriptions of priests wielding power through sacred knowledge. The Atlantean refugees, as keepers of such wisdom, would have found in Kemet's priestly class a ready audience, eager to integrate these teachings into their own spiritual framework. The result was a magical tradition that empowered Kemet's rulers and priests to maintain cosmic balance, protect the land, and commune with the divine. The cultural synthesis and lasting impact. The integration of Atlantean knowledge into Kemet was not a simple transplantation, but a dynamic synthesis. The Atlantean intellectuals, as outsiders, would have adapted their teachings to Kemet's existing cultural and religious framework, creating a uniquely Egyptian expression of their advanced knowledge. This fusion is evident in Kemet's monumental achievements, from the precision of the Great Pyramid to the intricate medical and magical texts that survived for millennia. The Atlantean influence provided a catalyst, accelerating Kemet's development into a civilization renowned for its intellectual and spiritual sophistication. Critics might argue that Kemet's achievements were entirely indigenous, pointing to the gradual evolution of its culture. However, the sudden emergence of advanced practices in medicine, architecture, and magic during the Old Kingdom suggests an external stimulus. The Atlantean exodus provides a plausible explanation for this leap, as the survivors' knowledge filled gaps in Kemet's developing society. Moreover, myths and legends across cultures, such as the Egyptian tales of divine beings bringing knowledge, support the idea of an advanced group influencing Kemet's early development. Conclusion: the destruction of Atlantis was not the end of its legacy, but the beginning of a new chapter in Kemet. The intellectual refugees, fleeing the ruins of their homeland, found in the Nile Valley a fertile ground to plant the seeds of their knowledge. In medicine, they introduced sophisticated healing practices that blended science and spirituality, laying the foundation for Kemet's renowned medical tradition. In magic, they shared esoteric wisdom that enriched Kemet's spiritual life, shaping its rituals and cosmology. The result was a civilization that stood as a beacon of human achievement, its brilliance a testament to the enduring legacy of Atlantis. By recognizing the Atlantean contribution, we gain a deeper appreciation for Kemet's extraordinary rise and the timeless resilience of human knowledge in the face of catastrophe. If you're still interested in the ancient Atlantis and Egypt story, subscribe to our ever-expanding channel and you'll be notified of new content. But remember, this is confidential, secret knowledge.